Given that our purpose is bringing forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet, the first question to ask is, where are we? In other words, what kind of world is our modern way of life actually producing in terms of our relationship with the natural world, with one another, and with ourselves?
Modern society has produced some remarkable achievements. Hunger and poverty are decreasing worldwide. People are living longer, healthier lives. Deaths by violence are decreasing. Technology has connected the entire planet. Yet what is often overlooked is that the growth-oriented industrial system that has produced these results is completely unsustainable. This system is destroying the ability of our planet to sustain life and is dividing and alienating the human family. As human population has grown exponentially, so has the industrialized world's use of Earth's natural resources. Clearly, this current trajectory cannot continue.
Humanity has been continuously increasing its resource demand
to the extent that by the 70s we started to use more than what nature can regenerate. Currently, we're using at least 50% more than what nature can renew. So we are in global overshoot.
Overshoot can be thought of as living off of your credit card. You know, humanity's living off its ecological credit card. If we use more than nature can keep up with, we actually start to erode natural capital that life depends on.
Currently, if everyone on Earth lived as North Americans do, we'd need 5 Earths. For everyone to live as Europeans do would take almost 3 Earths. China has just reached the 2 Earth level. India is below the 1 Earth level, but given the country's rapid industrial and economic growth, that will certainly increase.
The Earth's forests are shrinking. Soils are eroding. Water tables are falling as a result of overpumping of aquifers. Fisheries are collapsing. Grasslands are turning into desert as a result of overgrazing. No civilization has ever survived the ongoing destruction of its natural support systems, nor will ours.
Perhaps the greatest threat to humanity and all life on Earth at this time is global warming and climate change. The burning of fossil fuels and other human activities are causing the buildup of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. They are at levels far higher than at any time since humans have inhabited the Earth. This increasing concentration of CO2 is heating up the planet dangerously.
The results are severe climate disruptions, melting polar ice, rising sea levels, worldwide ecosystem destruction, and millions of climate refugees. All of these impacts are happening sooner and are more damaging than predicted. We are fast approaching tipping points beyond which catastrophic warming of the planet cannot be stopped. Global warming isn't just another issue. It threatens the existence of life as we know it.
The dream of the modern world is not only destroying the Earth's ability to sustain life, it is also creating devastating divisions in the human family and causing growing economic and social inequality. The rich are growing richer, while nearly half the world's people live in poverty on less than $2.50 per day. Currently, more than 1/2 of all wealth in the world is held by 1% of the world's population.
This This extreme disparity of wealth not only offends our basic human sense of fairness, it also erodes social cohesion and undermines the basic principles of democracy. Extreme wealth leads to political power, which then concentrates more wealth and power.
The people at the top have power. Because they have power, they have control of resources, they have a lot of privileges, and they can continue to increase these privileges from where they sit. And the public at the grassroots can continue to suffer.
Although real progress has been made in addressing issues of social justice, systems of power and privilege still perpetuate injustice throughout the world. Billions of people continue to suffer from environmental injustice, gender oppression, and racism.
In formerly colonized countries, natural resources and the profits from their extraction are often exported to rich countries. Meanwhile, in the process, the environment is destroyed or degraded, and the local people fall deeper into debt and poverty.
Environmental justice is the belief that no community should have to bear the brunt of a disproportionate amount of environmental burdens and not enjoy any environmental benefits. And around the world, that is something that you see.
Women are often the first to suffer the effects of environmental and social injustice.
Despite incremental improvements for some, still today, for billions of women around the world, you can see that they're denied basic educational and financial opportunities. They're barred from property rights. They are denied the most basic legal rights. And they are the victims of often culturally accepted, if not culturally encouraged, violence.
In the United States, racism is present in nearly every aspect of society. For people of color, it shows up as crippling economic disadvantage, inferior educational opportunities, discriminatory policing, immigration restrictions, and mass incarceration. These living legacies of systemic injustice result in oppression for some and unearned privilege for others. But it actually dehumanizes all of us. And understanding that is the key to meeting the challenge of building a socially just world.
A socially just world is a world in which if you had to draw a lot, and it would put you anywhere in that society, you would feel perfectly confident. You wouldn't be worried, because you knew whatever lot you drew would be a good lot. It doesn't mean it's everything's equal. It just means that every single person in that society has a decent shot at living the fullest life that they can. But if you close your eyes and you think to yourself, would you want to be black? Would you trade places? Well, if you wouldn't trade places, then there's work to be done.
I think for a lot of people who are born in privilege, there's a sense of what a friend of mine calls the right not to know. I don't have to know about poverty. I don't have to know about racism. I don't have to know about environmental degradation or environmental justice or injustice, because it's not me. I've got my life and I've got my family and I can do what I want. But the world is not forgiving of that much anymore. Pollution carries, water runs out in rich places too. The forests are coming down everywhere. The fish in the sea are depleting. It's hurting us all. Yes, it's hurting the poor first, but it's very, very difficult to go through life anymore and not see it and not feel it at some level personally.
Those of us in the modern world have had access to more money, more comfort, more entertainment, more travel, and more communication than any people who have ever lived. But has all this made us more fulfilled? Has it made us happier? Recent studies have shown that beyond a certain level of basic income, more money does not necessarily equal more happiness or fulfillment.
There is a great loneliness of spirit today. We're trying to cope in the face of what seems to be overwhelming evidence that who we are doesn't matter. Meanwhile, we're yearning for connection with each other, with ourselves, with the powers of nature, the possibilities of being alive. When that tension arises, we feel pain. And then we cover that over with anything that we can use to disconnect and to go away.
Depression, anxiety, addiction, and suicide have become all too familiar byproducts of our fast-paced, often alienating modern society.
The reason that people are into this mass consumption nightmare dream is because people are lonely and people are hurt and people really believe that more income, more stuff, more consumption, more things, the relationship with things will fix the hunger in the human heart. And it will never work.
We have seen the effects that growing alienation, pervasive injustice, unsustainable growth, and runaway global warming are having on the human species. What most of us do not see is the devastating impact all of this is having on other species.
We are in the midst of a mass extinction, but the news has not reached the general public. They are utterly unaware that the sacred and talismanic and heartbreakingly loved companions of ours on this earth are about to disappear forever. They will not return. African lions are on the absolute verge of extinction. There are only 20,000 left. That's down 90% in the past few decades. Every species and subspecies of tiger on the planet is on the absolute verge of extinction. Elephants down 90% in the past century. 90% of all large fish are gone from the oceans. Half of all species of life may be extinct in 50 years.
Nothing this destructive has happened in 65 million years. But why is that not our central concern? It's overwhelming. No one imagined it could happen. So suddenly, we're confronted with this fact, and we don't really know how to respond to it. I think that's beyond most of us, because we haven't deepened our hearts in a way that would make possible the grief that is wanting to be felt.
The anguish we feel for what is happening to our world is inevitable and normal and even healthy. So pain is very useful. Just don't be afraid of it, because if we are afraid to feel that, we won't feel where it comes from. And where it comes from is love. Our love for this world. That's what is going to pull us through.